What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Emphasis on Sports. As usual, I'm your host, Damon Anthony. We're going to kick it. We're going to talk about sports. If you're new, like, subscribe, stay on top of it. Check us out. And you can also catch us on all the streaming platforms. We're here. We talk about sports. Reason that it's called Emphasis on Sports, that's what the emphasis on. Not people's personal lives, not who someone's dating. Who cares about that? I love sports, so we're going to talk just about sports. Now, for some of y'all that have been paying attention, man, I haven't really been with y'all too much this week. Big things coming up in 2 weeks. Get married, y'all. Get married. We're not doing it up here in Northeast Ohio. We're not doing it down in Florida, flying to New Orleans. It's going to be an event. Check in with us. Anybody that's listening, if you want to happen to pop up. New Orleans, leave me a comment somewhere. I'll get back to you. All right. So that being said, let's get into sports. Whole lot going on. First things first, let's talk about this college football playoff. That has been the big buzz, the big talk here recently. There's been some teams left out. There's been some speculation on some teams having an easier road, all of those things. Let's get into it. Right. So college football Hall of Fame or college football playoffs, we know this year we've expanded to 12 teams. So that makes a nice big pool. And now there's rounds. There's definite rounds to see who the best team in college football is. This is something that is awesome. I love how they were able to fit this in, even with the bowl games, to make some of these games actually mean more, make the season mean more to a lot of teams. Past years, you lose one game, you're damn near out of it. This year, you can lose 2 games and still be in it, but then it depends on who you're losing to. So we know the biggest name that was left out of the college football playoff was Alabama. But Alabama deserved to be out. I mean, you lose the way you lost to Vandy, you lose to Oklahoma, who was definitely not good this year. That's going to put you on the outside looking in. But let's talk about the teams that did make it. So the number 1 overall seed, and when I say this, the top 4 seeds, they get a bye the first week. They don't play until the big, what they used to call the BCS bowl games, Orange Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, Rose Bowl, Sugar Bowl. Though or actually they're doing Peach Bowl. That's when those top 4 teams are playing. Those top 4 teams, number 1, Oregon. Number 2, Georgia. Number 3, Boise State. Number 4, Arizona State. There were a lot of people that took shots at those because they figured if you're the SEC, the ACC, the Big 12, Big 10, if you win those conferences, you should have those top 4 spots. I don't believe in that at all. That's also saying that some of these conferences are better than others. ACC is not a very good football conference. It's just not. They usually have 1 or 2 good teams, but they're not a great. This year, when you look at Boise State, they definitely deserve to be where they're at. Oregon, first year in the Big Ten, cheers to you, right? So now those 4 teams got the bye. Let's look at the first matchups. These matchups are going to happen next weekend. This is going to be next Friday, next Saturday that we're going to see the first round. We're going to have Clemson at Texas, winner of which goes to play Arizona. Then we're going to have Tennessee Volunteers at the Ohio State Buckeyes. Winner of that one gets Oregon. Then we're going to have SMU versus Penn State. Winner of that is at Boise State. Last but not least on those matchups is going to be Indiana and Notre Dame in a battle of the state of Indiana. Winner of that signs up to play Georgia. Now, I love the way that this is set up. I love the fact that there's buys. The only thing that I personally don't like about this at this present moment is those top 4 teams, even though they have buys, they don't have a home game. Texas, Ohio State, Penn State, Notre Dame, they all actually have home games. And when in a playoff, especially in college sports, home field, home court, home whatever advantage is actually huge. Because I'm going to tell you what, in Texas, probably 90% of the stadium is going to be Longhorn fans. You're not going to see like in a bowl game where it might be split down the middle. And if you can have that home field with both teams, I do like that advantage. Now, it is better for some of these teams. Arizona State plays the winner, Clemson and Texas. They get a little more rest. I actually get a lot more rest. because they don't play until the first of the year, which is absolutely huge for them. But they don't get that home field advantage to at least share that with your classmates, with the people in the area, with the fans, the alumni right there. But it's going to be a hell of a journey through all of this. Now, as I look at this, I'm going to go ahead and give my prediction on these games. Clemson, Texas, give me Texas. The line currently is Texas minus 11. I don't know about the line, but give me Texas. Texas is going to win that game. Then we're going to have Ohio State and Tennessee. Ohio State's currently favored by 7. Give me the Volunteers to win that one straight up. I actually think they're going to pull that out. Ohio State had no business losing to Michigan, and I know they're going to try and put a chip on their shoulder and all of that. But you just told the world that you're not really that great of a team. You're good, you're just not great. Then we're going to have SMU and Penn State. This one's going to be a great one right here. Penn State's currently favored by 8.5. I'm going to take SMU to cover. Penn State may win this game, but I like SMU to cover. They can put up points with the best of them. I know this is going to be in Happy Valley. Penn State's going to have their crowd behind them, but SMU has something to play for. Definitely has something to play for. Then we're going to have Indiana and Notre Dame. Notre Dame's currently favored by 7.5. Give me Indiana to win this game straight up. They're going to put up a ton of points, but I really love seeing the Hoosiers in this playoff. I've said before, I don't remember a time when the Indiana Hoosiers meant anything to college football as big as this. So seeing where they're at, seeing the possibilities, love it. Absolutely love it. And if it shakes like that, we're going to have Indiana versus Georgia. We'll have Penn State versus Boise State. We'll have Tennessee versus Oregon. And we'll have Texas versus Arizona State. Those are real good matchups right there. And whatever happens with those, I'm going to love to see. I mean, I'm going to be locked into this with like nobody's business. College football, I think, did all of us a great service setting up this playoff. It's going to be real good to watch. It's just all around going to be, I'm old, the jam, right? It's just going to be the jam. All right. So we know what we're looking at. That starts next weekend. Let's talk about the NBA for just a quick second. So NBA world, we're getting closer to that cup, to the in-season tournament, to the finals. There's been so much chatter and talk about the ratings going down. And I've heard all sorts of prognosticators. They talk about the fact that people are pirating streaming, and that's bringing it down, all that. But let me say what they won't say. It's boring. It's boring. Simple as that. For many reasons. One of the biggest ones, and this is why I don't really tap into the NBA until after the All-Star break. That's when the players take it a little more serious. That's when everybody is playing hard every night. That's when there's less sitting out. If everybody's coming with their hard hat and they're ready to rock and they're ready to go, I'm ready to go too, y'all. But if you're not, I'm not trying to watch that. I'm just not. There's a lot of good teams. There's a lot of good games. But early in the season, we don't really see great defense. We're seeing games where one team is in the 1s, one team is in the 1s. That's not great basketball to watch. It's just not. So NBA, pull your shit together. Let's get everybody on the same page. Let's get everybody playing hard, and we can move forward like that. We can absolutely move forward like that. Now, let's talk about the NFL. We are currently in week 15. For those of y'all that are like me, fantasy football playoffs have started this week. I've already talked to some friends and they've already been hurt by the ugly, ugly Thursday night football game. And we're going to talk about that one right now. So Thursday night, Los Angeles Rams defeated my San Francisco 49ers 12-6. One of the ugliest football games that I've ever seen, whether I'm a fan or not. This game had 0 touchdowns. You hear me? 0 touchdowns. And then had a rare, really odd moment that I'm definitely going to touch on here in just a second. But I want to recap this game real quick. So this was the return of Dre Greenlaw. This was the return of Hufanga. The defense for San Francisco were flying around and they looked great right out of the chute. They really looked great right out of the chute. But what didn't look really great, the offense. That's it. The offense. Offensive line really couldn't throw great blocks because Isaac Rendo was getting beat up on a fair amount. Brock Purdy, underthrow, overthrow. He definitely didn't look accurate. Not going to say that that's injury related or anything like that. It just wasn't clicking. The biggest thing that I got to talk about on the offensive side, Debo. Debo Samuel took the last week, and he had some things to say about not getting the ball and all this and all that. Man, they tried to force feed Debo, and he didn't show up. Dropped a short touchdown. He didn't show up. Now, yes, that's on him. But there were other areas where, from everything I've seen from Brock Purdy, these are throws that he would make in his sleep, missing these throws. Offense just did not look good, just wasn't clicking whatsoever. I mean, when your defense only gives up 4 field goals, you should be able to win. Didn't happen. Did not happen. But the biggest thing of the day that happened, Devondre Campbell, man, completely quit on the team. Listen, I'm a sports person. There are reasons why people step away from games. Get it. There's reasons why people retire. Get it. This is a person's ego. That's what it looked like. He'd been holding it down in place of Dre Greenlaw all year. Well, Dre comes back and he's flying around. He's doing his thing. And he gets a little nicked up. And the team did right and say, you know what? Have a seat. Campbell, you're up. And he said, I'm good. I don't want to play. And left. Amazing. For me, it should be a wrap. Not only with the 49ers, but with the NFL. I never like to say things like that about a person, but you're not dependable for your team, for your fan base. Just imagine you're a kid seeing this. Then that makes it okay. One thing that from a very young age, when I looked at these football players, I looked at these athletes, they go really hard to playing these games. I'm not going to sit here and talk about the money and all that because the money doesn't make everything move. But if you quit, to me, that means you're done playing football. You just don't want to do it no more. Get them out. Goodbye. I don't think any team's going to go sign them up. Somebody probably will, but I don't think anybody should. I hate to say that about anybody, to be honest with you. I really do. But this is the hand that this gentleman has dealt the league. It's not good for anybody. It's just not. I know for him, he needs to fix that. But for all 49er fans, I hope you understand, and I'm going to say this very clearly, see you next season. It's over. It's a wrap. We're done. We are cooked. Simple as that. This is when Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, Hufanga, just go ahead and sit down. There's no reason to get you out there with a potential injury. Let's be charged up and ready to go next year because this season is over. Even if by some miracle we make the playoffs, not going to win. Just not going to win. So it's time to move on. For all of those out there calling for Coach Shanahan's job, stop. Just stop. You could think that you want somebody else. Who are you going to get? Who are you going to get that's proven? I've heard names like Ben Johnson from the Lions. Cool, bring him in here. That dude's never been to a Super Bowl. He got close once. But Shanahan actually does a fairly good job. It's just from time to time he may get a little cute and get a little overzealous. Hopefully he continues to learn from all of these things and comes back next year and has the team ready to fire on all cylinders and we get back to where we are. But for this season, it's a wrap, San Francisco. It is an absolute wrap. Am I still a fan? 1,000% yes. But it's a wrap. All right? Let's move on to Sunday's games because we do have a lot to talk about. So, first game on Sunday is one that's happening right here, Northeast Ohio, in Cleveland. The Kansas City Chiefs are coming into Cleveland to take on the Browns. Current line is Kansas City minus 4.5. I'm going to go out on a limb. Give me the Browns. Don't know if they're going to win, but give me the Browns to cover. I'm going to say give me the Browns to cover. Biggest reason is, as long as I can remember, the Cleveland Browns, somehow or another, play very well against teams that they are supposed to lose to. Look at 2 of their 3 wins this year. Baltimore, Pittsburgh. Now they're going to play Kansas City, and Kansas City isn't looking like that dominant team that they have been. They look like a team that just understands how to win and sometimes gets a little luck there. Cleveland is going to have to rebound from last week. I know Jameis is probably going to throw the ball a million times. Give me the Browns to cover this game. Kansas City may win, but give me the Browns plus 4.5. Next up, we got the Cincinnati Bengals at the Tennessee Titans. Current line on this one is Cincinnati -5. Give me Cincy. Both of these teams they're done for the season. I think Cincinnati may have an outside chance, sure, but they're done. They're absolutely done. Cincinnati's going to put up points. That's what they're going to do. They know how to score the ball. Joe Burrow, he has been actually having a really good year. We know what Jamar Chase is. Meanwhile, Tennessee, not very good of a team. They can play some decent ball, but they're just not very good of a team at all. So give me Cincy -5. So I was talking today with a couple of my buddies, and we were talking about Joe Burrow. And I'm going to tell you who I think Joe Burrow is. I believe Joe Burrow is this era's Dan Marino. Remember, Dan Marino, very early in his career, he went to the Super Bowl, lost against the 49ers. And, of course, him and not only Marino, but the Dolphins and the entire fan base will be back next year. We're just going to reload. We'll be ready. And they were never able to get back to the Super Bowl. Look at Joe Burrow. Came in very early, took the Bengals to the Super Bowl. And he's continuing to put up like great numbers outside of, being injured. We know that this guy's a damn great quarterback. I don't know if he ever gets back to the Super Bowl. I don't know if he ever does that, but I think at the end of the day, he's going to put up a lot of yards and have an amazing career, potential Hall of Fame. For this game, though, give me Cincy -5. Then we're going to have the Washington Commanders at the New Orleans Saints. Current line on this one is Washington -8. Give me Washington. We know Carr's hurt again. We're going with another backup. Not Rattler, but another backup. We're going third stringer against Washington. Washington's coming off a bye. They're still very much in the playoff hunt. They're holding on to, I believe, the 7 seed. I think they're going to come out and they're going to try and lay the smackdown and do their damn thing against the Saints. I can just kind of see that coming. So give me Washington -8. Then we're going to have the Baltimore Ravens at the New York Football Giants. Current line on this one is Baltimore -16.5. Good golly, Miss Molly. We know Tommy DeVito starting this game. Giants just banged up, as well as they're a very ugly, terrible team. Baltimore's coming in also off of a bye. I think they're going to come in and they're going to lay the wood. This is a gigantic number, but give me Baltimore -16.5. Giants, they're not good. They're not good. They're highly dysfunctional. It doesn't seem like anyone's happy there. Give me Baltimore in this game. Next up, we're going to have the Dallas Cowboys at the Carolina Panthers. Current line on this one, surprise, surprise, surprise. This is the first time in a couple years Carolina is favored. Carolina is favored by 3. And you know what? Give me the Panthers. Did see that Trayvon Diggs, he's out for the rest of the season with a knee injury. Carolina, they actually have been looking like they're growing as a team. I'm not going to say that they look good or anything like that, but they look like they're maturing. They look like they're getting a little better. And Bryce is actually playing decent football. Can't really run from that. Last couple of weeks, they hung right in there until the end with Kansas City. Hung right in there to the end with Philly. I think that they're going to beat the Cowboys straight up. Carolina -3, give me the Panthers. Now, you know how we get down. This one right here. This is the nobody cares game of the week. Week. The New York Jets at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Current line on this one is Jets -3. Yuck. This is a very hard game to call. I don't think anyone outside of the fan bases care at all about these teams. Mr. Aaron Rodgers continues to dig himself a hole with just some of the stupid stuff that he says. As him and his team are playing terribly, these are the times when you don't have to conform to anything, Aaron. Just don't shoot your mouth off stupidly. All right? Jets -3 takes a lot here. Give me the Jets. I mean, Jacksonville, they're a dumpster fire in and of themselves. We know Mac Jones is playing. Hopefully, one of these teams is just playing for pride and we could have some kind of decent matchup. But this game is ugly. For the nobody cares game of the week, give me the Jets -3. Moving on, we got the Miami Dolphins at the Houston Texans. Line on this one, Houston -2.5. Give me Houston. They're at home. They have to get in a better groove going into the playoffs. And I think that they will. I really think that they will. I know that Miami has played a lot better with Tua back under center. Their offense seems to have been clicking a lot more. being able to move the ball up and down the field, whether it's touchdowns or not. But being able to maintain the ball is huge in football because you're keeping the other team's offense off the field. That being said, give me Houston minus 2.5. You're telling me field goal? I like Houston to win the game. Field goal's good enough for me. Next up, we got the Indianapolis Colts at the Denver Broncos. Current line on this one is Denver minus 4.5. Give me Denver. They're playing in Denver. Denver's defense has been pretty good. Their secondary, stout, very stout. And I've talked about Bo Nix a fair amount of times. He is definitely fitting in to the NFL. And I think Sean Payton got his guy. Definitely think he got his guy. On the other side, Indianapolis, they're a team built for the future. They couldn't get it done earlier in the season, so now they're pretty much on the outside looking in. I think Denver, I'm pretty sure they are going to go to the playoffs. I believe Denver is a really solid team that, if not next year, but the year after, is really going to be tough. Really going to be tough. Kansas City, beware of the Denver Broncos and the LA Chargers, all right? Give me Denver minus this 4.5. So now, there's two games on the books for Sunday that I cannot wait to watch. Unfortunately, they are both at the same time at 4:25. Now, me and my man cave, I will have them on separate TVs and have the red zone on another TV because, we're done with bye week, so a lot of games on all the time. But look, y'all, the Buffalo Bills at the Detroit Lions. Whew. In my humble opinion, these are the two best teams in the NFL. Detroit, argue with the wall if you want to, but Detroit, they're the best team in the NFC. Buffalo, whew. Now you can look at Buffalo, you can look at Pittsburgh, you can look at Kansas City. I think Buffalo is the best team in the AFC. They did knock off Kansas City. I understand that last week they lost to the Rams. Very much a shootout. Get it, got it, good. Pittsburgh, also damn good team, going to be a terribly tough out. Buffalo is a team to me that I think is the best team in the AFC. So we're pitting those top two teams together, and I think this game is going to be rock'em, sock'em, ready to go. I think there's going to be a fair amount of points scored in this game, but I'm going to tell you, give me the Lions. Definitely give me the Lions. Lions are at home. I totally expect this one to be won by kind of a walk-off field goal situation. A lot of people may bounce back and say, oh, hell no. You seen Dan Campbell? Yeah, I have. Detroit's at home. Detroit wants to beat this team. This is one of those games when you show the rest of the NFL, this is who we are. This is what we do. I really thought that in a couple weeks, at the beginning of the season, I would have told you that the game on December 30th, Monday Night Football, 49ers and Detroit Lions, that's what's going to decide it. But the 49ers, they're cooked. So that game really doesn't mean too much. This is the one. Buffalo at Detroit, no hate on Buffalo whatsoever. Give me Detroit minus this 2.5. Give me that all day. Then another game. This is one of the games. I'm going to have two TVs on the side, red zone in the middle. Pittsburgh at Philly in the Battle of Pennsylvania. The current line on this one is Philly minus 6. Give me Pittsburgh all day. I like Pittsburgh to win, but definitely to cover that 6. There seems to be some turmoil going on with Philly, with Jalen Hurts, maybe a little A.J. Brown, some kind of turmoil. I'm not a fan of Sirianni. I don't think that he's a really great coach. I think he's a solid coach. I mean, shit, he's in the NFL. You got to be decent, right? But Pittsburgh continues to show me week by week by week how good they are, whether it's rebounding from a loss or whatever may have you. But we're also very much watching Russell Wilson breathe life into the Pittsburgh offense. And also understand, it's December, about to be January. This guy played in Seattle. The weather's not going to bother him at all. Give me Pittsburgh. Philly minus 6. Give me Pittsburgh plus the 6. Then we're going to move on to the New England Patriots at the Arizona Cardinals. Current line on this one, Arizona minus 6. Now, Arizona, they're on a little bit of a downward spiral, and they really haven't looked that good about the last month, but they are playing New England. So with this one, Arizona minus 6, give me Arizona. Give me Arizona. I could and probably am definitely wrong. This might be a field goal game, but I just feel like Arizona's going to pull this one out. Then we have Tampa Bay Bucks at the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, this is a doozy The current line on this one is the Chargers -3. Give me the Chargers, but watch out for Tampa Bay. Tampa, I believe, is going to wrap up that NFC South here in a couple weeks. I think they're going to be a real tough out by anybody. Bowles knows how to coach defense pretty well, but Baker Mayfield is playing sensational football. I think that no one thought was going to happen. If you would have said this 2 years ago, look, Baker, he's going to be the man in one of the divisions, no one would agree with you. I think Tampa's a really good team, but the Chargers have impressed me this year. They absolutely have. Yes, I know Harbaugh's a great coach. Yes, I know that Herbert's a good quarterback. They're playing good football. He's breathed a good amount of intensity into that locker room. Harbaugh has. Give me the Chargers minus this 3. Last game on Sunday, also a doozy. Green Bay Packers at the Seattle Seahawks. Green Bay right now sitting third in their division. The NFC North. Seattle sitting first in the NFC West. Seattle can kind of coast to taking home that division, especially with Arizona not being that great. We know that the Rams, they're picking it up at the right time, but Seattle's in a situation where you beat the team ahead of you, you just win the games, and you can go to the playoffs and have at least one game at home. Current line on this one, Green Bay -2.5. I'm going to say give me Green Bay. Recently, Green Bay has looked like just a better team than Seattle, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if Seattle wins this. Seattle, they need to rack up some of these dubs. It's a pretty good Sunday night football game. Would have been real nice if they would have flexed this Buffalo-Detroit game, because that's primetime viewing. Let's move on to Monday. We got 2 Monday night football games this week. First up, we got Chicago at Minnesota. Current line on this one, Minnesota -7. Give me Minnesota all day. One thing that we all know is Chicago's not good. They're not a good team. They're just not. They're a see you next year team. Coach got fired. They're still trying to piece everything together. Caleb Williams has not been consistent. He's shown a flash here or there, but he hasn't had that many just consistent games where from kickoff until 0-0 at the end, is he doing a great job? Just haven't seen it yet. Here's a rook. He'll grow into it. Meanwhile, Minnesota's a sneaky team. They are. I believe at this point, they only have 2 losses. Wrap your head around that. Minnesota is, if Detroit wasn't in that division, we would look at Minnesota a lot different. Sam Darnold has been amazing. We know what Justin Jefferson brings, but Jordan Addison, he has been balling. They're making a great 1-2 punch there. Give me Minnesota -7. Last game of the week, Monday Night Football. This one was close to one no one cares. No, close. The Atlanta Falcons at the Las Vegas Raiders. Current line on this one is Atlanta -5. The main reason people care, Atlanta, there's still an opportunity for them to make the playoffs, for them to win their division. There's still an opportunity. It's there. In this game, I like Atlanta -5. There's, this is one of those things where you look and it's like, hey, there's no reason. There's nothing that anyone's going to say that's going to make the Raiders into a good team all of a sudden. Atlanta it's been a little tough for them lately, but I think they could rebound against a much worse team and go ahead and knock down what they need to. So go ahead and give me Atlanta with that. Now, real quick, I want to recap just where we're at when we're talking playoffs. We're talking playoffs, right? In the AFC, we know that Kansas City and Buffalo, they've already locked up their divisions. Currently, they sit 1-2 in the conference. Buffalo's 2 games back. I think 1.5 games back because of the tiebreaker. But if Kansas City just continues to win out, they're going to have to bye. They'll be the number 1 seed. Pittsburgh's sitting in that 3rd spot at 10-3. And I believe that they're going to end up either in the 3rd or the 2nd spot going into the playoffs. Right now, the Houston Texans, they're 2 games up in their division. The 2nd place team there is the Colts. I think the Colts are kind of cooked for the year. Then once you get to that 5-7, all 3 of these teams are 8-5. Baltimore Ravens at 5, Los Angeles Chargers at 6, Denver Broncos at 7. So this can shake out a lot of different ways. These games, these upcoming weeks are going to be crucial to these 3 teams in jockeying for right playoff position. I don't think anybody wants to be in that 7th spot if the Bills are in 2, because that's who you're going to have to play the first week. That's who you're going to have to play first week in Buffalo. I think everybody on the outside of that 7, Colts are in 8, the Dolphins are in 9. Both of them are 6 and 7. The Bengals are still alive in 5 and 8. I don't think any of those teams get in. I think they're all sitting on the outside because they need too much to get them into the playoffs. So really, I look at this, and barring a tremendous collapse by the Ravens, the Chargers, or Broncos, I think they're all going to get in. We'll have to recheck later and see if I was right or wrong. Now you move on to the NFC. Currently, the Lions, they sit on top of the NFC at 12 and 1, but Philly's right behind them at 11 and 2. Minnesota's also right behind them at 11 and 2. So Detroit, they still have to come out. They still have to win these games. They're still going to have to do their thing against Buffalo. They're going to have to hold it down to keep that number 1 spot and get that bye because they have 2 teams right behind. Absolutely 2 teams right behind. Third place team right now is the Seattle Seahawks. I know that the NFC West doesn't really look too great, but to be sitting there at 3 because the NFC South has went through some of their own turmoil is kind of a game changer. The Bucks are sitting in 4th, but the Falcons are right behind them. Bucks are 7 and 6. Falcons are 6 and 7. I believe Tampa's going to just have to win out to take it home because I think the Atlanta Falcons are going to rebound and they're going to knock off some of these games. Like I said, I think that they're going to beat the Raiders. Meanwhile, Tampa, they're going to have a little bit of a tougher time against some of these other teams. Let's see what happens. Now, when you look at the 5 through 7 in the NFC, you got the Vikings sitting there at 5 and they're 11 and 2. Green Bay Packers sitting at 6 and they're 9 and 4. I think the Vikings, they're going to get in. The Packers, I believe if they can win 2 more games, they're going to get in. The Commanders sitting there at 7. That's going to be the toughie because they're at 7 and they're 8 and 5. The Rams are right on their tail at 8 and 6. And the Rams have been playing a little bit better. I believe the Commanders are going to win enough games to get them into the playoffs, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams overtake them. That's going to be a real good end of that to watch. Falcons, Cardinals, still in the race at 6 and 7. Still in the race. Somehow or another, the Niners are still in the race, 6 and 8. But remember what I said, we're cooked. Cooked. Done. If the Falcons or the Cardinals lose this week, I believe it's a wrap on them too. This is what I love about sports, the NFL, the whole 9 yards, man. Now we're at the end of the season. Now you're either out or you got a chance. So for me, with my team being out, now I could just watch really good football and just root for solid games. I'm not rooting for or against any teams. I'm not. Mostly because I don't think Seattle's a championship contender. And the Cowboys, they'll be watching on the couch just like me. Those are the teams that I shoot at. Outside of that, let's just have good, solid football. All right? That being said, be good or be good at it. And until next time, y'all, I will holler.